Hello, everyone. It's day 87 of President Bola Tinubu's administration, and we're monitoring closely development in his first 100 days in office. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Let's begin with the nation's capital, from the nation's capital, where President Tinubu has approved the return of a delegation of Islamic leaders to Niger Republic for another round of dialogue with the junta leader, General Abdurrahmani Tiani. President Tinubu made the decision on Thursday after a meeting with the top clerics led by Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi, who were recently in Niamey 2 weeks ago for dialogue. ECOWAS had imposed sanctions on Niger in response to the coup and has not ruled out using force against the army officers. Recall that on the 26th of July this year, a coup d'etat occurred in the Republic of Niger when the country's presidential guard detained President Mohamed Bazoum, and the Presidential Guard commander proclaimed himself leader of the junta.
Yes, as you have said, the Council of Ulamas have returned to the President for the second time to give a report on their ongoing dialogue with the military junta and other stakeholders in Niger Republic. They have briefed Mr. President about the situation, and the effort is still ongoing. Mr. President has listened to them. They will continue this dialogue. Mr. President is interested in exploring peaceful options in this, but nothing is off the table. He has asked the ulamas to continue their dialogue, and they will continue to do that.
And we are still going back there to ensure that through amicable way, through peaceful way, as spiritual leaders, we'll be able to do and contribute what we can be able to do. What we want is we don't want war. We want peace to reign in our region. So may Allah continue to bless His Excellency the President for giving us this opportunity. And we want serious prayers, fervent prayers from the entire, community.
State House correspondent Femi Akode joins me live from the presidential villa. Femi, the military junta has proposed a 3-year transition period. Is it clear what the objectives are for these clerics and precisely what their goals will be?
Yes, Nifemi, the objectives of this cleric will be to take the message of President Bola Tinubu as chairman of ECOWAS and indeed the entire economic community of West African states to the military coup plotters in Niger that the regional bloc totally and outrightly rejects the coup and the takeover of government and insists on the return of constitutional order in that West African country. And the sanctions imposed by ECOWAS will continue to be in place until they relinquish power and restore constitutional order. That is the clear mandate that these Council of Ulamas will be taken to Niger Republic. But yes, they might have a more subtle way of delivering that message, also considering the fact that over the years, they have been able to earn the trust of people in the Niger Republic, including the military and indeed these military coup plotters that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. So they are trying to leverage on that trust that exists between the people in the Niger Republic and the Council of Ulamas to see if they can prevail on them to relinquish power and restore constitutional order. And you also recall that they were the first people that after the former emir of Kano State, they were the first people that met with the military coup plotters, sat down with them and held talks with them. You know that the first attempt by the ECOWAS delegation, ECOWAS envoy led by General Abdulsalam Abubakar, was unsuccessful until after the ulamas met with them, and eventually these military coup plotters opened their doors and are even willing to engage in more talks with ECOWAS. Nifemi.
This council, as well as other stakeholders, have been talking about the need for ECOWAS to explore a more peaceful option. Would you say that the regional bloc is paying attention to all of these calls in the midst of its call for a standby force in Niger?
Indeed, Nifemi, the regional bloc is paying attention to all options, all calls by people from different quarters, calling for a peaceful and amicable resolution to the political standoff. But in doing that, they also insist that no option is off the table, and that includes the use of force to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic. The standby force has already been activated and ready to be deployed at the word go, as that is if ECOWAS meets a brick wall in the ongoing negotiation with the coup plotters in Niger Republic. But ECOWAS has also said that, well, war is not in anybody's interest, and they will explore and exhaust all political and diplomatic ways of resolving this standoff before the use of force, which will be the last resort. Nifemi.
ECOWAS is saying the 3-year transition plan is not acceptable. We're looking forward to what more this Council of Ulamas can achieve as they journey again to Niger for a second time. State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us at the presidential villa. Still to come on first 100 days. Osun State Commissioner for Information, Kolapo Alimi, joins us to discuss the distribution of federal government's palliatives to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal. We'll also find out what's happening at the grassroots here in Lagos with Executive Chairman Yaba Local Council Development Area, Kayode Omiyale. Stay with us. You're watching First 100 Days on TVC News. You can join the conversation if you use the hashtag First 100 Days on Twitter. Now, the federal government recently approved 5 billion naira for each state and the Federal Capital Territory, as well as grains to enable them procure food items for distribution to the poor in the respective states. In Osun State, we understand that government has inaugurated a standing committee constituted to deliberate and work out appropriate modalities for the distribution of food palliatives from the federal government.
1,000 should wait until the arrival of the remaining 14,320 before there will be any distribution. So please, we want to assure the public that the rice is intact. The 3,000 that arrived is still intact. Nobody touch it.
The other 14,000 over 14,000.
Osun State Commissioner for Information, Kolapo Alimi, joins me now for more on this development. Honorable, thank you so much for finding time to join us on the program. So correct the figure if it's wrong. We hear that the Osun State government was quoted to be expecting over 14,000 bags of 50 kg rice and 3,200 metric tons of maize. Is that accurate?
Yes, you are very correct.
So out of the 14,000, you have taken delivery of how many?
No, the point is this. The first batch is just about 3,050 kg bags of rice. We have taken delivery of all the 3,000. The second batch is 14,000 plus 50 kg bags of rice, plus 3,200 metric tons of maize. So we have not taken delivery of anything out of the second batch. So yesterday, we inaugurated, the Deputy Governor inaugurated a committee on that palliative. The main function of that committee was actually to discuss the templates to be used for the distribution of the rice, most especially the one at hand, the 3,050 kg bags of rice. However, when the committee discovered that we are still expecting about 14,000 plus more, plus a 3,200 metric ton of maize, they decided that it would be wise for the state to wait until the arrival of the entire stock, which will amount to 17,050 kg bags of rice.
And exactly the point, that's what the opposition has an issue with. The opposition has berated your government of keeping these palliatives, and according to them, that the Osun State government is subjecting people to more hardship. Their position is, why not distribute what you have? And how are you also responding to stories of these bags being diverted?
Well, first and foremost, we are dealing with opposition in Osun. To me, with great respect to them, that are not reasonable, because when you see the committee inaugurated for this palliative, you have the state chairman of a CAN as a member. the state chairman of a Muslim community as a member. The Yaloja, they are represented there. People with disability, special needs, they are members of this community, of this committee. The labor, the civil servants, the chairman of TUC in Osun is a member of that committee. You have the chairman of pensioners. So what I want to do is all the stakeholders, non-politicians, they are majority of them are members of that committee. And if in their own wisdom, they discover that in Osun, now we are having 3,000 bags of rice, 50 kg. Yes, but we have 30 local government in Osun. If we divide 3,000 by that 30, you have 100 bags of rice per local government. If you now divide it, let us use a local government with 10 wards. We have some local government in Osun with 15 wards, but let us use 10. That means the 100 divided by 10 will give 10 bags of rice to a particular ward. In a particular ward in Osun, you have communities as large as about 10, 15 communities making a ward. So that means if a community now want to get rice, the community will get at most.
Honorable Commissioner, you are saying that distributing what you currently have is going to be quite insignificant, compared to the needs of the people.
That is the rationale, my brother.
But now that you have...
behind.
I hear you, Commissioner.
Yes.
But now that you have decided to wait to take delivery of all of the bags, do you have an idea of how long more the Osun people will have to wait?
Yes. We are talking about at most from what we are hearing from Abuja, latest time in the next 2 weeks. The committee in their own wisdom, which happen to be the stakeholders in this state, if they decide that it will be meaningless for the government to be now be sharing a cup of rice and call it palliatives, then why should anybody now think playing opposition without being reasonable? So all these kind of talks has no place in Osun. The people know that even before the advent of Governor Adeleke as the governor, the Adeleke dynasty in Osun, well known for their philanthropic nature, they used to distribute rice. So it's not new, but if you want to do something, you have to do something reasonable. Take it now. Take 100 bags of rice to a local government with 15 wards and distribute and see what significant effect will it have. So the people, those who matters, I told you when you look at the composition of that committee, that you discover that yes and yes, they are very reasonable. And that was the reason why we asked them to address the press themselves.
I hear you, Honorable Commissioner, and I think that your point is also very well noted. So we asked our viewers on Twitter to ask you a few questions. One of them, at Alaro for You, says, what's the arrangement for people with disabilities to get their own palliative without stress? And what's the plan of the state government for people with disabilities in government? I think you answered that earlier, saying that you have them well represented in this committee.
Yes,
so let's move on quickly. Because of our time, Honorable Commissioner, let's move on quickly. The governors, during one of the national, one of the NEC meetings, actually did favor a different social register from the one used by the previous administration. So I'm just concerned to know, does Osun have a social register it's working with for this distribution? We're going to get back to the Honorable Commissioner for Information in Osun State.
Hello, I'm with you.
Oh,
I'm with you now. I'm with you now.
So I was asking if there is a social register that the Osun State government is working with for this distribution.
There is, but for this one, the template that we are going to use is going to be worked out by that committee because we believe that register needs to be updated. But what we want to do is that all the committee set up at the state will have to replicate that kind of committee at the local government. They will now be able to identify the poorest of the poorest. The churches, they know the poorest of the poorest. The mosque, they know the poorest of the poorest. These people with special needs, they know the poorest of the poorest among them. The pensioners, they know the poorest of the poorest among them. So the template with which it will be distributed will have to be worked out by that committee. That is the main reason why we set up the committee. If we want to rely on that data, it needs to be updated because it has been collated quite a long time ago. It might not be useful this time around.
All right. So I'm just wondering, how long will it take them to come up with a totally different list?
No, those committee, when you see the people in that committee, they are men of integrity. If you want to come out with register, that one will take up time. But the committee, as I told you, they have people with special needs. They have their people all over the state. When we constitute that of the local government, they will be there. Now, the pensioners, they have their people across the state. When the local government committee is constituted, they will be there. The NLC, the workers, the yardlodgers. So those people are the one that will give us the template, and will let the whole world know about that template. This is how they want to distribute. This is the one that will go to the special people with special needs in social local government. This is the one that is going to the pensioner in social local government. Even to the journalists, they know the poorest of the poorest among them. So it's not going to be hidden. We are going to be transparent about it. And we are not going to use politics for it.
You can answer this in just 1 minute. The last time we heard from the governors, they mentioned that 2 billion naira out of the 5 billion have been disbursed. But it sounds like you are saying you haven't received the kobo. What's the situation right now in Osho?
I know that is what from our account, we learned 5 billion naira will be given. But that 5 billion naira that out of which is like 4 billion naira will go to be the actual amount that will hit the account. Other will come in form of food and so on and so forth. And out of which we learned 2 billion naira has been disbursed. But from our accountant general, it has not hit the account. Maybe it's just the process. So when it hits the account, we let the whole world know that as it is today in Osun. So that is what we are saying. And if eventually I'm informed, any moment I'm informed about it, we'll make release. Let the whole world know that out of so amount to be given to the state, so amount has hit the account. That as yesterday. That was what the information given to us from the
Osun State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolapo Alimi, thank you for talking to us on the program this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Now let's find out what's happening here in Lagos. I'm joined by Executive Chairman, Yaba Local Council Development Area, Kayode Omiyale. Mr. Omiyale, in Osun, they already have 3,000 bags of rice. Do you have an idea how many bags that have been received in Lagos? And has Yaba LCDA started to receive any of these palliatives?
Thank you for having me. And good afternoon, dear viewers. For now, to the best of my knowledge, these activities has not commenced in the local government. It is yet to commence. That is the palliative from the federal government. We are yet to have it in any of the local governments in Lagos State. But despite that, the local governments, all the 20 local governments and 37 SCDA in Lagos State, all of us have been on our toes to make sure that before the arrival of that of the federal support, at a little effort, we have been doing something for members of the community. And virtually all the local government and SCDAs, they have engaged in one palliative activities or the other. Virtually all the 20 local governments and 7 SCDAs. And that is what is happening in Lagos State now. Palliative is going around in all the 57 local government in Lagos State.
Does Yaba LCDA has its own social register, just in case you take delivery of some of these palliatives? Do you already have a list and the details of the poorest of the poor in your local council development area?
Yes, we have the register of the vulnerable people in our local government. And that is what I'm saying, that as at this evening, we are yet to receive any palliative from the federal government for the register members. But as I've said earlier on, what I'm saying is that each local government, they have their own programs in which they are trying to go ahead before the federal government. So the issue of palliative is going on in Lagos State, but we have not been using the social register that's been compiled at our own local level. What we are considered is, yes, we are selecting the vulnerable members in our communities, and we have people from the CAN, we have people from the MAN, we have people from Community Development Association, we have people, the aged people, the widows, as well as the retirees. And that is what we have been following. Because we are the grassroots government, we know who and who. Even without looking at our register, we know where we can pick them, and we know we have our officers on the field for selecting all these people. And that is what we are doing presently, and it's still ongoing.
This current intervention that you are talking about, different from the one we're expecting from the federal government, how exhaustive is it? And just how many people have you reached, and how are you reaching them?
Well, in my own local government, we have reached about 5,000 people. And I know that because we are comparing notes in all the local government and LCDA in Lagos State, I think the list each local government might have done, cannot be less than 3,000 as at last count.
All right, so let us touch on some other very important things happening in Lagos. Yesterday, for the first time since 1999, we saw that 17 out of the 39 names sent by Mr. Governor to the House of Assembly were rejected. I spoke with the chief press secretary to the governor last night, who mentioned that Governor Sanwo-Olu is the first governor to have reached out to all of the local government areas to have their contribution to this commissioner nominees list. I'm wondering how Yaba LCDA is reacting to this, and precisely if you can confirm if you also contributed to that list.
Well, in the first instance, by the time the selection of the commissioners commences in Lagos State, I'm very quite aware that the signal was given to all the 20 local governments to forward the nominees. And I'm very sure that in my local government, in Yaba LCD here, we have our own nominees. And I'm happy to announce that Honorable Bola is among our nominees, is on the list. And we have another one, Dr. Folashade Adefisayo. And I'm happy to announce that two of them were scaled through the shortlisting from the government, from the governor. But at the screening of at the House of Assembly, only Bola Olumegbon has been cleared. But we are trusting God that probably before the whole exercise, come to an end, the second nominee can also be cleared. But having said that, I have to say that in Lagos State, democracy is in action, where we have separations of power, the executives and the legislatives. Yes, the governor have sent the list to the legislative arms of the government, and they have done their own assignment. They have sent the list to the governor, and I know that the governor can still look at the list, send it back. Probably, if but have looked at some of the issues raised by the House of Assembly, probably the governor might have one or two defense as I regard those people that have forwarded their names to the House of Assembly. So the judge still continue, the consultations still continue. The party leaders are still there to intervene at certain points.
All right.
To debunk some of the claims that probably maybe some of them are not from that particular local government. But I want to assure you that as far as mainland local government is concerned, especially ABCDA, the nominees from our local government, they are from the nominees from the local government. Right. They are handpicked.
They're not handpicked.
We are trusting God. One has been cleared.
Right.
We are hoping that the second one will also be cleared.
I like that you say you're trusting God. They say with God, nothing is impossible. Perhaps, your disqualified candidates can be picked again. Executive Chairman, Yaba Local Council Development Area, Kayode Omeyale, thank you so much for talking to us on the program this evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And that's our program today. You can watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'm back at 6 p.m. tomorrow with another exciting edition. But join us again at the top of the hour for more stories. I am Nifemi.